Okay, so hi guys, my name is Yenisbel. Like always, I'm gonna start the Zoom and the disclaimer. I'm just gonna, since we all know it by heart, I'm just gonna pinpoint the important parts because I don't have it in front of me right now. Basically, what we're always saying is that don't share any personal information from your clients, don't share any specific questions that you have seen in the test or mock test that you have paid for. And if you use anything that is free, let's just give credit to those people that deserve it. And remember that here, the ones that work here, the leaders and you guys are all students that want to become BCABAs or BCBAs. So please double check everything we say. Thank you for coming, and let's start. So like I was telling Damie, A is one of my weaker areas, and I wanted to organize it. But at the same time, I didn't just want to blab all the information out there. So what I did is I blocked it out. Can you see it? I'm sharing the right screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I organized it here so that when we're done, you guys can print it out in your house if you want, and you can organize it yourself so that you can go and look for the specific things that you're having trouble with. So let's start with the same first questions. And this is information that we have already gone through. So I'm working today. My focus is on fluency. Let's start with this first one. So procedures for measuring behavior. We know that there are 3. Can anyone tell me any of them? If not, I'll give you choices.
Is frequency, rate, and duration?
No.
Temporal extent, temporal locus.
Oh, okay.
If you make mistakes, I'm glad because that means I'm not the only one. I keep.
Is it temporal?
No.
Temporal extent, temporal locus?
No.
Event recording. Event recording.
There you go. So it's event recording. I'll give you 2 more options if you so it's event
timing.
Recording. It's timing. Oh God, let me see. I need to cut.
And time sampling.
Time sampling.
Timing and time. Yep. So the reason why we're getting them confused is because we haven't piled them up together. So that's the whole purpose why I did this. You'll see as we go along how we can put everything organized. So the main organization style that I did is the event recording, timing, and time sampling. And from there, I got all this different information. So for example, I'm gonna tell you a definition and you tell me in that definition, where does it go? In these 3 ones. Ready? Okay. Cool. Researchers, no, let me start with it. Methods for recording behavior during intervals or at specific moments in time. Which one is it, guys?
Time sampling.
Good, correct. The next one is methods for recording the number of times a response occurs with a specified predetermined period of observation time.
Event recording.
Event recording.
So you see, when we have it organized, you know this. I know we all know this. It's just that we need to organize it. And the last one, I didn't find a specific, I found something, I think, in Cooper, and I just wrote it down. Researchers and practitioners use a variety of timing devices and procedures to measure duration and other stuff. Okay, so just focusing on those, if we're gonna use free operant behaviors, which of these 3 do you think would go good with measuring free operant behavior? Remember, it's just like a question that I usually do, but now I'm saying it verbally. The choices are event recording, timing, or time sampling. And the behavior that you have to measure is free operant behaviors, or it's a behavior that is a free operant.
Is with event recording?
Event recording.
Yes, you are correct. Awesome, guys. Good. So now we have behaviors that are high in rate. Which of these three do you think we should use?
Time sampling.
Time sampling, correct. And if we are dealing with continuous behaviors, where would you put it?
What was the question?
Continuous behaviors, where would it go?
Event recording.
No.
Event recording?
No?
No.
No. Time sampling.
Time sampling. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
organize it in such a way that we can, you see, now we can categorize them by the types of behaviors that we should. Okay, so the disadvantage is which one of these two, because this one I didn't find much information. If you guys find more information, you can feel free to add it to it when we're done. So that way everybody has a good table. So which of these two cannot be used for high rate behaviors that are in high rates? You know this, so just focus on
Time sampling.
Event recording.
Event recording. And continuous behavior, which one you cannot use with continuous behavior?
Event recording.
Event recording. Okay, and the last question is, which one, well, this one I'm not gonna ask because I don't know if you can use it with the other ones. But let's also remember that we don't use event recording with DTT. Okay, and for this one, I'm gonna give you two choices for time sampling. So you should use it, you should never use it with a important behaviors, but they happen frequently, or you should never use it with important behaviors that happen infrequent. I repeat it. Where can you not use it? With important behaviors that happen very frequently, or important behaviors that do not that happen infrequently. We're talking about time sampling. Let me repeat the question. So the question is, which behavior can you not use with time sampling? A behavior that is important, but is very frequent, or a behavior that is important, but is infrequent?
Infrequent.
Infrequent, that is the correct one.
The infrequent one.
Yeah. Why do you guys think is the infrequent one?
Because it has to be specific, you know, a certain time.
Because they were explaining that with time sampling, you're just getting like pieces of information. And if a behavior is infrequent, for example, I put there elopement that occurs once per month. Elopement is obviously very dangerous. So if it happens once per month, we cannot use time sampling because we would never see it. We would just score it as a 0, for example. We could, because it just happens that at that time we didn't see it. Do we get that one, or do we want to talk more about it?
So important or dangerous, probably, right? Infrequent, dangerous behavior also, I guess.
The combination of infrequent with important, that should not be scored with time sampling. So my point with that is, if you see in the test a question that says a child is hitting himself in the head with a shoe and he does that once a week, what should you be using time sampling to measure that behavior? What's going to be our answer, guys?
No.
No, because it follows the two categories, right? It's an important behavior, but it's dangerous, and is infrequent. Okay, the next one is, we're continuing with these three main ones. So if you can, just write it down somewhere, because the data, the table is gonna soon go away and it's not gonna show us the names. So the behavior that is measured, this one's tricky. So the behavior that we measure with event recording, is it continuous or discontinuous behavior?
Discontinuous.
Yeah.
Discontinuous.
Yeah. Do you guys remember what discontinuous behavior means?
Yeah, the clear beginning and end, I guess.
Yes. Yes. So here is where free operands fall under. So, oh caramba, let me get this thing. So here you can see, here's where we see the repetition. You see, a free operand is a discontinuous. So remember what we saw in advantages? Free operand, here it is. Okay, so in timing, do we use discontinuous behavior or continuous behavior? Do you hear me right? I feel like I'm screaming.
No, you're good.
Okay. In timing, do we
Yes,
use
right.
discontinuous behavior or continuous behavior? Do we measure, I'm sorry, I have to use a specific wording. In timing, do we measure discontinuous behavior or continuous behavior?
Discontinuous.
This.
You are correct, Jennifer. You get the M&M. And
Thank you. I want some right now. Thank you.
are you enjoying it? Do you want the red one or the blue or the, what's the other one?
I want all colors.
Let's do a preference assessment.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there you go. And the last one is time sampling. Do we use continuous or discontinuous behavior?
Continuous.
Do we
Continuous.
measure? I keep on saying it wrong. Do we measure? Okay, awesome, guys. You're getting it. So here's where we were confused the other day. Measure, I'm in the purple. Measurement procedure. Do we use continuous or discontinuous? You see the difference? There's the behavior and there's the measurement procedure. So this one should be easy because we already got the answers at the top. For event recording, do we use continuous or discontinuous measurement procedure?
Continuous.
Awesome. Yes. It's the opposite.
I want the yellow M&M.
Catch it. Open your
I
mouth.
want to get an M&M too.
Okay, the first one that says the other one, I'll give you a bigger set of M&Ms. This one's easier. Okay, timing. Which measurement procedure do we use? Continuous or discontinuous?
Continuous.
The opposite. Continuous.
Continuous. You're getting
Continuous.
it. You are getting it. Here you go. Catch it. Okay, for time sampling, which measurement procedure do we use? Continuous or discontinuous?
Discontinuous.
Discontinuous.
There you go. So this is why I like it, because we can see the pattern really, really good. Okay.
I just don't understand why we use it though. You know, I see it's the opposite, but why? I guess is my question.
Well, okay, so let's remember that the event, I'll let somebody answer that. If somebody knows the answer, because I don't want to be somebody knows the answer really, really good and wants to explain it. If not, I'll say it. Okay, I'll say it. So, okay, let's focus on time sampling, which is the one that makes the most sense for me. Which ones are the ones under time sampling? Do you remember? We haven't gotten to that part yet, but you probably can tell me one.
Whole interval.
Okay.
Partial, whole, and momentary. Momentary.
I like using momentary, which is the one right at the end, right? Right at the end of the interval. So if we're measuring, which behaviors do we measure with momentary interval? It's right here. We already said it.
Continuous, right?
Continue. So let's use the behavior of humming. We want to use the discontinuous measuring procedure, which is time sampling, because then I don't have to be constantly because it's happening for
so long. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. If it's happening for such a long time,
and if it just happened at any point, okay, I got you.
Yes, I use it.
So I don't know if you can relay like humming or those discontinuous continuous behaviors are behaviors that doesn't have like the clear beginning, so you don't know when they're gonna start like humming and when they're gonna stop.
Exactly. So let's use the same example with discontinuous. Who can tell me a behavior that is discontinuous?
Out of set behavior.
A what? I'm sorry?
Out of seat
behavior.
So out of seat behavior. Let's say the person just gets up, right? And then gets up and then comes down. Is that what we're referring to? Gets up and then comes down. So it's clearly when we. Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, gets up and walk around and then comes back.
Okay. So can you clearly see the beginning of that behavior?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
And can you see clearly the end of the behavior?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're sure it's a discontinuous. So now, the continuous measurement for timing, what is it? Do you guys remember which one is it?
Duration.
Timing is duration. So can you measure duration with that one? Would it be effective? Yeah. Because it's a clear beginning and an end. Imagine if I were to use duration for humming, how long would that be? Forever, right? And I don't know.
That'd be forever. Yeah.
Do you have any more questions, or do you want more examples from everybody?
I got it.
Good. Thank you.
I think we'll get it better when we continue doing it. So artifacts. Which of these three, event recording, timing, or time sampling, have artifacts? Don't worry, I'll explain what artifacts are if you guys don't remember. But just go on.
Discontinue.
Time sampling.
The choices are event recording, timing, or time sampling. Which one you say? I think somebody said time sampling. Is that correct? Or
yeah, time sampling.
Yeah. You are correct, my friend. Yippee. Okay. So why does time sampling have artifacts? It's all gonna link together when I explain it. Here's what Cooper says. Misleading data are artifacts of the measurement procedures used to obtain them. And I put an example. Danny's screaming behavior occurred actually, for real, 55% of the observation period. But when the data was collecting using partial interval and whole interval, the results are different than 55% because they are over and underestimating the actual occurrence of the behavior. And that information, we need to keep it under consideration when interpreting the data. So basically, what it means is, obviously, if we're using momentary, I forgot, momentary what? What is it? It's momentary.
Momentary interval
time sampling. If we're using momentary time sampling, are we going to see the behavior when it happens at the beginning of the interval?
No.
No. So if the behavior is happening at the beginning of the interval, we don't see it and we missed it. That's what it means by artifacts. So all we gotta remember is that artifacts,
Misleading.
it's misleading data. And for sure, because I don't remember the other ones, but for sure, the time sampling is always going to have misleading data, which means, what does misleading data mean, guys?
But you're not gonna detect all the behaviors.
Yeah.
That it underestimates?
Under or overestimate. But if I'm asking you a question in the test, I'm talking about misleading data that overestimates or underestimates. What is the name? What is the specific word that you have to give me?
Artifacts.
Artifacts. Yay! We're getting this. Okay, this one's gonna be easy because we already went through it. Procedures, or what is used to measure behavior. So we have 3 procedures here for event recording. Who can tell me those procedures?
That's the rate, frequency, and what is the other one?
We have rate. We have frequency, that's correct. And the last one is the one that I always forget. It starts with a C, guys.
Count.
No, count is frequency, it's the same.
Count is frequency, so you're good. You're good. Count is frequency.
Duration.
Acceleration.
It starts with a C. I'll tell you.
Acceleration.
Acceleration. Good job. Okay. So we all remember that count is the same as frequency, right? Because I was super confused because Cooper book said that count was rate, but then the task list says that count is frequency, so we're sticking with that. Yeah, I don't know if any of you had that panic attack, but I don't know about you, but I'm sticking with what the 4th edition task list says. Okay, so let's go for the next one. The next one is timing, where timing has 3.
IRT, latency,
and duration.
Awesome, guys. You see? You know this. What did I tell you? Awesome. So the last one is time sampling that has 3, and then another one that is borrowed. So that is, that is in there. But 3 are the main ones.
partial, momentary.
Yes.
And whole.
And whole.
Yes. And what is the one that we use for group?
Groups?
Momentary time sampling.
Momentary time sampling. Yeah.
No.
There's another one that you talked about, I think, in Dami's group.
Permanent product?
It's called, it's play something.
Play check.
Play check. You know it. Aren't you loving my prompts? I just give you a little picture and you're like, yes, I know. Okay, so plant activity check. It's a variation of which type of time sampling? Momentary, partial interval, or
momentary?
Nice. Awesome. Okay, so these are the formulas. I'm sure that you know them because you're RBTs, most of you. But count, how do we get count?
Tally mark.
Tally mark. So what do we do with the tally marks? We
count,
subtract, add, divide, add them, right?
Add, yeah.
Rate.
Time over
count over time.
Count over time, yes. Acceleration. This one, if any of you want to explain it to me better, I think I get it, but I'm not quite there yet. But the formula, I know it.
Yeah, it's rate over time.
Awesome, rate over time. So if you can see, they're sort of piling up together, right?
Mm-hmm.
So response latency, what is it? It's when you measure what with what and where and stuff like that.
Yeah, from instruction to the time the client takes to respond. That's the latency.
So from instruction to response, what is the instruction? What is that called?
SD.
SD.
SD. Good job. And look, guys, I made a little visual for.
Nice too. This is nice.
I like it. I was so proud of it. My little arrow.
You did an awesome job.
It took me a long time. I was spending so much time. I'm like, am I wasting my time here? Is this worth it? Is it worth it, Jenny, or not?
No, totally worth it.
Okay. So the next one is you know the next one, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. For IRT, what is it? What are we getting?
It's from one behavior to the other, the pause between them.
One response to other response. Time between one response to the next
One response to other response. And duration?
Total time from beginning to end.
Yes. And in duration, we have two types of duration. When you're sitting with a client, you can do two types of duration. If you remember, tell me. If not, I'll give you a tip.
Total duration and duration per occurrence.
Yeah.
Wow, you are on fire, my friend.
And duration per occurrence, also average duration, right? Per occurrence. They're AKA, I think.
Which one is it? What did you say?
Duration per occurrence and average duration per occurrence. They're same. Sometimes it says average. Sometimes it doesn't mention the average in the beginning.
She's saying that it's an AKA.
Which one is
I
the
think so
AKA?
because I did BDS and they had questions. Sometimes they say average duration per occurrence. Sometimes they just say duration per occurrence.
Oh, okay. So you're saying
Everest.
Everest? I've never heard of it.
Yeah, average.
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 Average?
Oh, average.
Oh,
average.
Average?
Yeah.
Mm.
my I think it's my it's average AVA.
Yeah, average. Yeah.
Average. Yeah.
Average.
Well, I've never heard it like that, but I can keep a note on it to find to look it up in the book.
Yes, has that.
Okay.
Okay, let me
That's
write it down before I forget. Average. Okay, so
Average per occurrence, she said.
average per occurrence.
Yeah.
Average.
Yeah, average duration per occurrence. And sometimes it just says duration per.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so you can see now that my little visual is making sense because in just one moment in time, you can take can take data in all of these three. You see? Okay. So whole interval recording, what is it? We know that one. When do we get it? When do we measure the behavior? When do we say, okay, yes, you did it? No, he didn't.
During
This
the
is the entire time.
interval.
Yes. I forgot to give you, well, we already know that we divide the observation period into equal parts, right? That's the key thing. So partial interval recording, where do we measure it? When do we measure it?
One time, at minimum of one time during the occurrence.
And what do we do with the observation period? We divide it into equal parts. Okay, let me move faster. Equal parts. Momentary, the same formula. We divide the observation period into equal parts. And where do we see it? When do we see it?
At the end. At the end of the.
Okay. And I have a question for you guys because I just learned the plan activity check, play check, very recently, and I've never had much experience with it. So basically, we measure momentary time sampling, right? But it says it's in a group. So what do you do? How do you write it down? How do you see all the kids and you say 20 kids did it at this interval?
I think anyone from the group, if does it, then we record, right? I'm not sure 100%.
I thought it was like if you at the end of the interval, if all the kids are doing it, then that's what you count.
I heard an example this morning because I was listening to an audio that I have, and it was saying that is used mostly in situations like in a classroom where, let's say, you had 30 students and a teacher is trying to find on-task behavior. So then she would mark Johnny was on task and Stephanie was on task, but Frank wasn't. So like they would put a check mark on the ones that were on task in the moment, and the ones that weren't, they would put an X.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. So let me write it down here. Give me a minute, please. So
it's for large groups, and it's the same as momentary. It's just putting checks and X's.
So basically, the teacher has the list of students, no?
A large amount of students, and they have a list, where they would check off whatever behavior they're looking at. So if it's on task or off task or out of seat behavior, whatever it is they're looking at, then they just mark it.
The example that my teacher used to give me was like kids on a playground. If the teacher's looking at the end of the interval and she sees how many kids are, like, if everybody's playing or if not playing, so she would mark the ones not playing and the ones playing.
Okay, so it's by each person. So basically, if she has like we said, a list of the names and we check it. Okay, that makes sense. I just didn't know if she would do at the end 20 kids, but I guess she can do that also at the end, add up how many kids did the behavior. Okay, thank you guys. So here I just put an example for each formula. So my example, let's give you a scenario. Danny is with his teacher, and he's doing math problems. He did 5 math problems. Never mind, I don't think this is gonna work. But okay, so if we were counting count or frequency, what would be the answer there? How many math problems did Danny do?
How many times math problems he will do in 30 seconds or in 30 minutes?
That's where I wanted to get at. That's the tricky part. That's adding.
Are you asking?
That's adding the time. So that wouldn't be in count, right? Count is simple. It would just be
frequency.
It would just be Danny finished 5 math problems. Okay, so now that we have the base, how would we change this same scenario to make it count? No, mentira. I'm sorry. To make it base.
Danny finished 5 math problems in 10 minutes.
In 10 minutes.
Yes, now it's working out. Okay, to make acceleration, I didn't know how to do it. So if you know how to do it, tell me and I'll write it down.
My God, 10 minutes.
I still can't.
In the next 30 minutes, maybe in the next half hour.
Oh, yeah, that's a long time. Acceleration is very complicated because usually acceleration it's not a long amount of time. I've worked with kids with using acceleration, and usually it's 1 minute, 15 seconds, things like that.
Oh, is not acceleration more like like how fast or how slow you can do that?
So how do you use it when you use it? How do you use it?
Well, I'm still learning how to use it, but you're using it to build fluency. So if you're teaching a child to
wouldn't
it
be like teaching a child to read?
Right, you can teach them to read. You can teach them math facts. It's just building their fluency. So that's the part that I'm.
Okay,
but
so
usually I do it in a short amount of time. It's usually 1 minute, But the thing with acceleration, when you graph it, it's in multiples of 10. That's the thing.
Right. Like my son gets what you guys would call it acceleration sheets, but like his teacher called it a fluency sheet, and he has to read so many words per 1 minute, and every day he goes like up like 10 more words, and that's
right
what acceleration would be.
Right. You have to give it a new goal every time, and they have to meet that goal.
Right.
Okay, let me see if this makes sense. Danny does 5 problems in 10 minutes, right? And then he needs to do 10 problems or 6 problems. You add more.
I would put 5 problems in. I would put 5 words in 1 minute, because the time is short. It's very short trials. They're just trying to build fluency, so they would go from like 5 to 7. It's increasing small intervals. I mean, very small amounts.
Okay, because I want to keep it with the problems,
Mm-hmm.
the math problems. So let's assume that the math problems are very easy. So he does finishes 5 math problems. You would say in how many? In 5 minutes?
So if you're doing math, then put he did 10 problems in 1 minute, because 5 problems in 1 minute is too small.
Yeah, but I want to add it up. Isn't acceleration adding and adding and adding? That's what I mean by this. Danny finished 5 math problems in I don't know 1 minute, and then he has to finish 6 math problems in 2 minutes. Is that what you're talking about?
No, 6 math problems in 1 minute. So you're just increasing the amount within the same amount of time.
Okay, so you're not changing.
You're building fluency.
Okay. So it's 6 more, right? 6 more problems.
No, one more.
One more.
Okay. 1 more problem.
Yeah, it's really 1 or 2 more at a time.
In 1 minute. And then he has to finish, then 1 more, then 1 more, right?
Right.
Oh,
You can look more into how it's divided and all that, but
that's the basic, the nitty gritty of it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Makes sense now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're gonna continue with the same scenario of math problems so that you can change it up. So if we were going to do response latency, how would you frame this scenario?
The time the teacher says start working on 5 math problems, and the time Danny will start.
Awesome, yes.
So Johnny took 5 minutes to begin his math worksheet.
Mm-hmm. So here I put from 11:30 to 11:33, so the latency would be 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Okay. So the